Show Me Your Whiskey, episode 1.
Just an undercover way to be a mooch.
I skated in Pro-Ams, got to meet Bam Margera. Drink your goddamn bourbon.
And you like kind of weird things.
We like weird shit. I do have one bottle that I hold closest to my heart.
The best tasting whiskey that you think you have in your collection.
You don't travel it. Yeah. Hey, Chris Stapleton.
Welcome back to the Whisky Boys YouTube channel. We have a new series that we're officially starting, and it's called Show Me Your Whiskey. It's going to be us traveling to different people's houses, other whiskey enthusiasts, whiskey nerds out there, people just like us. And we're going to pretty much let them give us a tour of their whiskey collection, tell us their story. What do you think? I mean, do you have like any ideas for this series that we're going to do?
I think it's just an undercover way to be a mooch. We're just going to get unbelievable pours at people's houses. This is all the reason why. We're just nosy about what they, what it looks like in their house.
Yeah, they're like, when are you going to ask me the questions? I'm like, well, let's first like drink the pappy.
We have to also look at your second bedroom. I just want to see what that looks like.
I was actually just talking to somebody else, and they're like, you better be careful doing this because you don't know if you're safe going into like random people's houses. So if we get invited by you and you let us come to your place to see your whiskey, you better be a good person.
Yeah, and if we get stuck in a dungeon, I'm going to be pissed.
At least if it's the whiskey dungeon, it'll be okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think what's going to be interesting is because I've always been curious about like how people got their collection of whiskey together. So I think some of those questions are going to reveal, maybe even some strategies for you guys to try to get your stuff. And then hopefully, how long, so you don't get discouraged like, oh, why does this guy have 400 bottles? But he's been doing it for 10 years. Yeah. So, you could slow down your pace and maybe find some interesting ideas and bottles as well. I think that's all going to be super valuable for you guys.
I actually had a friend that started a whiskey page and he was doing a collection and he stopped posting, and I honestly think it was because of that. I think he got discouraged. It's kind of wild because you can't compare yourself to others, especially with the whiskey community. No. If you start off with just Buffalo Trace and Elijah Craig Barrel Proof and something else, like, enjoy that. Like, sit with those bottles.
Yep. And then another key thing about whiskey is just enjoying it with your friends and other people and making those kind of memories. And so that's what we're also trying to accomplish here too, is making some new friends and new memories.
Episode 1 of Show Me Your Whiskey. We're with Dan from Everyday Whiskey, and we're in Forked River, New Jersey. He's going to show us his whiskey collection.
And let's do this. Tell us what you do for a living.
Yeah, all right. Well, my name is Dan Smith. My best friend Mike Paczynski and I have the Everyday Whiskey podcast, review channel, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all the works. I am a general manager at a liquor store. It's a chain. It's called Spirits Unlimited. It's about 2 blocks from where we sit right now. I've been a manager since 2016. Before that, I was a beer manager and assistant manager at our #1 location in Toms River. I was just 19. Yeah, 2014, I got hired. Wow. 4/20/2014 was my first day at Spirits Unlimited. And yeah, it was supposed to be a summer job, essentially. And then I, had a knack for it, got pretty good at it. They offered me an assistant manager location assistant manager job at my location. They were just like, hey, do you want to run a store? And one of my best friends, John, was already running that other store. He was leaving, and John recommended me to take his place. I was 22 years old, didn't know anything, and I was put in charge of a bunch of people, and but it worked out great. And obviously I was able to have my own home, and I get to play around with alcohol every day, and it doesn't feel like work.
Now, one question I do have is, was whiskey like big when you first started, or were you just working, all the beer?
The bourbon boom, if that's what you want to call it, didn't really happen until 2018. Because I can tell you for a fact, on my shelf in 2017, I had Rock Hill Farms, Blanton's, Eagle Rare, and Stag Jr. all at MSRP. And I had Elmer T. Lee that was in the back for $40.
Wow.
And nobody wanted it. And I couldn't sell it.
Wow.
And then as of 6 months after that date, everything on that list either doubled in price or quadrupled in or basically like reduced in availability, but stayed the same price.
That's insane.
So I got in the manager position at a cool time because I got to actually see the brown goods boom happen like right in front of my face. And it's so crazy. And like, everyone likes what they like, essentially. Do I think, is it worth all the hype? Is it worth, trying to, go to 900 stores a day to try and find one bottle? That's entirely up to you. That's all personal preference. But the reason we started this channel, Everyday Whiskey, my best friend and I, is essentially there are hundreds of bottles that are available every day on on all of your shelves that are just as good as all these crazy allocated bottles. So anything from the Old Forester whiskey roaster is absolutely fantastic. It's always available. So Mike and I wanted to highlight a bunch of brands that we felt like weren't getting their just due. And we wanted to show people an accessible way to get into bourbon, so you didn't have to spend a bunch of money. You didn't have to drive to 500 stores. So that's the whole basis of our channel.
Yeah, there's a lot of other great options out there for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly, or local stuff. Like at that point, like I remember I had Mike Palladini in my store doing an in-store sampling in 2017.
From Penelope.
The owner of Penelope. And Mike, still a good friend of mine, awesome dude. We just did the Penelope marshmallow toast for one episode, and I texted him, hey, like, what the hell is this? Like, can you tell me something about it? Because there's nothing on your website about it. And he sent me a full rap sheet of everything I needed to know about it. So Mike, like, awesome dude. But yeah, like I've gotten to see the growth of the bourbon industry like firsthand, and it's really cool, and it's a beautiful community. And everybody like you two are like super welcoming. And that's like kind of what Mike and I try to do with other people too, as far as like if they have questions, we try to be an open book.
Yeah.
More or less.
So is that how you accumulated your collection? Is through the store? Like, did you buy things
Yeah,
from the store?
yeah. Obviously some gifts here and there for sure, but yeah, during COVID we got like that COVID check where it was like an extra $200. So, and like I'm not a smart person, so I didn't save any of that. So every 2 weeks I bought $200 worth of bourbon of whatever the hell I wanted to try.
Reinvested it.
I reinvested it into a non-investable thing that's worth nothing as soon as you open
pee it all out.
Because like the one question, like you'll see the collection in a minute, but people like for the first time see, they're like, how much is all this worth? And I give them the same answer every time. $0. It's worth $0.
Yep.
Because it's all open.
Yeah.
But that's the purpose of it. You want to drink your bourbon. Just, if you want to know anything about me and Mike, drink your goddamn bourbon.
Yeah.
That's why it's made. That's why these people put all these blood, sweat, and tears into it. Not for it to collect dust on a shelf, but to be drank and to be shared with, friends. So.
Amen, brother.
But we started drinking bourbon in 2015.
Oh wow.
So,
Okay.
and we were off camera when we talked about this. First, I'll tell you right now, first 4 bottles we bought: Glenlivet 12-year,
Scotch.
Eagle Rare 10-year,
Okay.
which was on the shelf at $26.99. I had 10 cases of it
Wow.
at the store I was working at the time, and nobody bought it. Knob Creek 9-year, and Gentleman Jack. So those are the
Nice.
first 4 bottles that started what you'll see in there in a second.
Besides, whiskey as a hobby, what's your other big hobbies, either previously or currently?
All right, so, well, you could pan over to the wall, and you can probably see one of my old hobbies. So I started skateboarding when I was 5. My family owned a family skate shop in Manahawkin and LBI for about 10 years called Fate, and they sponsored me, and that allowed me to go to Bam Margera's warehouse, do a contest there. Severe concussion that day, cracked my helmet a whole 9 yards.
Oops.
Definitely reevaluated some things, broke my nose. You'll see it. People have called me out in the camera for having a freaking crooked nose.
Oops.
But yeah, I got to do a lot of competitions, got to meet a lot of cool people. I was never really professional, but I skated in pro-ams and stuff like that. So I skated alongside with a lot of professionals, like, if anybody's skateboarding, like Kenny Anderson and Danny Morin, who was a big prevalent pro in New Jersey. We got to meet Bam Margera, Kerry Getz, who was like, in Viva La Bam and all this stuff. So I got to meet some cool people doing that. But, between 2 broken ankles, 2 broken wrists, 10 broken fingers, fractured ribs, dislocated hip, broken nose, 3 concussions, skating is not very, it doesn't have a longevity to it. Especially when you start young, and as we've learned with head injuries, they can have a very long affecting, or it basically can affect you long term, and you don't realize it. So my mom sat me down and was like, do you see yourself being a professional skateboarder? And like, just so you know, there's like 0 money in that, unless you're like the top 1%. So I would just be a broke 40-year-old with a lot of broken and twisted fingers with no money. My wife and I's biggest hobby is you can use the term Disney adults, I guess. That's our thing. We go down to Disney 2-3 times a year. I get the stigma, but if you know how to do it right, there are so many good bars, so many good cocktails, so much good food, so many good views, amazing live music, amazing theater shows. Like the last trip we did, we went to 11 different resorts in one day, ate the signature dish at each place, and had a signature cocktail at each place.
Cool.
And it's an adult's playground too, as much as it's a kid's playground. And yes, we go on rides and we have a great time and we listen to Disney music and we're happy idiots. But yeah, that's like our I guess our big hobby now and most expensive hobby, more expensive than the bourbon, to be honest, at this point.
All right, so here it is. right when you walk in.
Oops. Were we drinking that already?
Yeah, we were having pours before.
You gotta get a little loosened up before you get going.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But dude, I love this setup. Like,
Yeah.
right away you can see it.
I mean, is there any bottles? I mean, you had so many stories as you showed us some, and it's funny because I feel like this is like a sleeper a little bit.
It doesn't look like a lot, but it's dense.
And then you start looking, and there's actually bottles upon bottles, and even underneath, like in the cabinet,
I call them the
that you
chicken
can't even
cages.
see. Right, exactly.
Yeah. So like if you go down here, like you have an Old Pepper single malt that just kind of is hiding down here. You've got Abalor 18-year, Writer's Tears, Marsala cast finish, Abalor 12-year back there. There's a bunch of, and then
What I noticed too is like you have such variety of
Yeah.
things, and you like kind of weird things.
Mike would also say the same thing. He was here, and like I said, like Mike's literally my brother from another mother. We like weird shit, so that's why we have like High West, like basically new make.
Wow.
So that's like the Western oat. They released it for 1 year. It tastes like almonds and blueberry. It's really good.
Ooh.
Or like anything Balcones here. Like we've got some True Blue cast strength, some Lineage. We've got Brimstone back here. This one that I got for you, like we got Fortuna back here, which is like my favorite like unknown bourbon. Like I think it's like one of the best kept secrets. Now it's probably not.
What makes it special?
For me, it basically what it is Rare Character makes Fortuna, and Rare Character makes they buy leftover barrels from other distilleries. So like they'll have like Superbird, which is like leftover wild turkey, like high end stuff they release every year, like the decades one, whatever it was. But this was like their everyday one they released, and it's not cheap. It's like $80 a bottle, but it's just a fantastic bourbon that nobody knows is good.
How about the cast strength? Don't they have a cast strength?
They do. I've never had it. It's not here, so I can't say. I'm not gonna. If I haven't had it, I'm never gonna be like, oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Because that's a kiss of death, honestly. Or like over here, we've actually got a Redwood Empire that is signed by their master distiller because he visited me at the store. So that's a Haystack 14-year, and we have a Haystack 15-year right behind it. Again, like I told you guys out there, there's no rhyme or reason to where any of this stuff is. Like here, you've got a Starlight maple syrup finish bourbon from I think it's a Pennsylvania store pick. So
Love that sticker.
yeah, so that
I think I was just watching a video with Bruzel, and he was talking about Starlight, and it's like they do some of the best picks.
they're great.
But like the regular bottles just don't move.
I don't. They're good stuff, but it's just too weird.
Yeah.
Or it's just one of those things where it falls under the radar. It's just like their double oak's really good, but the price point is too high because it's competing with a lot of other stuff at that point, and they're not well known enough. So Starlight, if you watch this video, you guys make killer stuff.
They really do.
I just wish you were a little bit cheaper.
You were telling us a little bit about the store pick.
Yeah, so like I said, I do some store picks with a couple of other of our managers at Spirits, and this one was cool, and they let me pick this barrel. So this is just like your standard Weller full proof, but the only thing is, this pick is from their experimental warehouse. Again, I don't know what that means and entails, but all I can say is the actual sample we got was covered in humidity stains.
That's so crazy.
So this is all pure speculation on my part, and if I'm wrong, I'm totally wrong, and someone will call me out on it.
Sure.
But I'm assuming they probably just crank up the humidity in that rick house like you would do like a humidor, kind of, and it creates like some more density, some more fruit character, a little more backbone to it. Not that the regular full proof is wispy by any means, but it just kind of like dials it from a 10 to a 12.
And were you impressed with it?
Oh yeah, you guys will try it today. We said we'll pop it on camera. I was very impressed with. Normally your full proof is like, it's almost like candied fruit nut kind of thing. You get way more like dark fruit out of this one. It's still candied, but it's more dense and richer.
You know what reminds me of dark fruit is the Russell's Reserve 13 and the Russell Reserve 15. You do get some oak on the 15, but
yeah,
a lot of dark berry for me. I see a lot of your samples here.
How
do you get those?
So a lot of it is just like customer interaction. Like I get them an allocated bottle and they want me to try something that they have. So like in here you've got Chattanooga, Isla, Cast Strength, Ironclad, Store Pick, and a Beacon Cast Strength. So it's just like random stuff to try, or like sometimes we'll do an episode like, all right, we're gonna call this like Tom's Picks,
okay,
or whatever, and or my buddy Frank from North Carolina, he makes custom whiskey barrels. So these are all Eagle Rare and Buffalo Trace cast finishes.
Wow.
And he makes his own artwork. It's like, this is basically Rio, called the Freebird.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or you've got your Charlie Brown water here. And they're all just custom finished. And he does an awesome job. He's really talented. He just does it for fun. For funsies, if you want to call it that.
So since you have, like, we have inside information from you, I mean, what's the best way to interact with, you know, someone like yourself, a manager of a liquor store? What are some tips?
Like, don't be an asshole. Like, number one, like, if you're a cool dude and I like talking to you and, you know, and I can tell you really love bourbon and I can tell you really drink your bourbon, I'm way more inclined to be like, yeah, I want to get that guy a bottle. I want to make sure he gets the bottle that makes him the happiest. Okay. And granted, like, a lot of these allocations I don't buy myself anymore because I want to make sure that, like, one of my favorite things to do is to get, like, a customer comes in, like, I've been looking for this bottle for so long and I can find it for them and they get it, and that, like, that expression on their face is like the best thing ever.
Yeah.
It really is, because it's just like that, like, you just made that person's day, you made their year, you've got them that bottle for their daughter's wedding that they've been waiting for, and it's so cool to see people like so happy. But yeah, seriously, it's just be a consistent shopper at the store. Let them know that you're not just there for bourbon, you're there to buy your beer, buy for your parties, buy whatever. And then yeah, just like just be a decent human. Like I don't, yeah, there's really not much more to it than that. Like I said, I told you about a phone call I got from another, you know, I won't say any names or anything, but like he told me he didn't drink the whiskey at all. He just kept it on a shelf. Like did
anything happen after that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
I'm just not gonna, like, I want these people, like, if you're gonna get a Pappy or a Dorsey Stag or an Eagle 17 or whatever, you pick one of the high-end super allocations. I just want to make sure it's in good hands and someone's drinking it.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, because like that is supposed to bring people together. That is supposed to be shared. That is supposed to be a great moment, essentially. Or like you pointed to it earlier, like take out the FOMO. Like, just you buy one of those crazy bottles you wanted forever, just drink it, pop it. Like, there doesn't have to be a special occasion. Yeah. The special occasion is you got that bottle and you're drinking it. So make it its own special occasion, essentially.
So true.
Yeah. One in the Buffalo Trace barrel actually has a lengthy explanation on it. So that one right there, do you want to hear? I can do the audio for it. It's a Buffalo Trace proofed up with Stag Junior, aged in oak barrels with dehydrated Fuji apples, cinnamon sticks, and nutmeg. Just over 100 proof. That's from Frank himself. So that's what's in that bottle.
That is awesome.
And the next one's Amarena Cherry with the pinup girl on it.
Those must be wild rides. Are you
I
thirsty?
have an empty glass.
Oh no!
All right,
I'm
so
being a mooch right now.
What should we try this
let me
cash
swing around you.
Oh yeah, I mean, so we did bring him a little gift. We brought
pop this door
him.
shut.
We should have did this on camera. Yeah, I think that would be funny, but
Nah, it's all right. We can do it now.
anyway, this is our single barrel we did with Silas. You guys probably already know about this, but we wanted to get to him. Jeremiah also brought something fun to crack, fresh for the first time. I've never tried this before.
Bowman Brothers.
Neck pour is gonna be fun on that.
Yeah. Well, you know, do you know the natural of this versus like maybe a GTS or something?
Negative, Captain. No, not off the top of my head. I don't really know. Like, I like the Bowman Brothers. I just don't know enough about them to really.
I understand that there's some sort of relation, or that you could potentially. I don't know how true this is, but GTS killer. We'll see
About this?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited then.
Yeah. So.
I mean, we did just do a blind tasting the other day. People were going crazy over this. We were doing a blind tasting and we picked Stag over GTS.
I would believe that though, because like the Stag has, I feel like there's a lot more sweetness to it. I feel like there can be more balance within it. And
believe it or not, it was more balanced just because it was.
Yeah. I think this.
But there were also fresh pops, and I wonder if that had to do with anything.
I can totally see that, because like sometimes the GTSs come out super dry.
Yep.
Like, there's not like a whole lot of anything to grab onto it that makes it interesting. But like the Stags are always consistent. Actually, I'll say this. I'll redact that. The even numbered batches are always to me the best ones. Those are the Maraschino Cherry Bombs, Dr. Pepper.
This was 24C, right?
This is 24C.
The Stag.
Yeah, the last one got released was 24C. Yeah.
And that also was actually lower proof than the GTS.
It's what, 124?
And I think that might have been one of the reasons.
Yes.
It's just a little too high proof.
Yep.
The GTS.
On their own, they were great, but like against each other, it was interesting. This is the second batch, I believe, or third batch.
Yeah, this is usually distillery only.
Distillery only, right? And that's where it went crazy.
How'd you get it?
Because they released it finally, like at other places.
So they released 300 cases to Fedway this year, I believe. And it goes to like your top 1% of accounts, which I don't fall into. So.
Okay.
But yeah, it's cool because it's Virginia, and
Yep.
people like always knock it because like, oh, it's not Kentucky. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's good.
I'm super impressed. I'm not gonna lie, it almost reminds me of Armagnac.
Oh,
I get,
interesting.
like, a little
So you
bit
get
of
like
grape.
I hope that wasn't what was left in your glass before this.
No, because I wasn't getting any on that. I was getting like obviously
Okay.
like
So-
because it was like a dark. No, this is like grape juice, I should say.
So I'm not getting the Armagnac, which I've had a few different Armagnac finishes. My favorite one's the Barrel Craft. Armagnac is fantastic. I think I'm getting more of that cognac, so I'm getting like the wine stammy grape tone with a little bit of that
Yes.
barrel background.
So that might be it.
It's-
maybe cognac.
A little punchy for sure, but again, we're drinking the neck pour, so you really like. It's impossible to judge anything high proof off a neck pour.
So it sounds like you're a big believer in the neck pour.
As like showing what a whiskey truly is, no. I think it's like the opposite of what.
No,
whiskey
I'm
is.
saying like some people don't even believe it's real.
No, it's a real thing. It's the most highly concentrated part in the bottle, and that's where all the ethanol is. Like, yeah, it's science. It's
Yeah.
not like a philosophical thing.
Yeah.
It's actually science. So
I
yeah.
believe in it too, and I think the bottle is the whole
So anybody's like, that's the best part. You're out of your mind.
Love to hear about this peg leg.
Oh, yeah, that's a cool one. So this was like, again, this is like another one we didn't. It was a contender for like whiskey of the year a couple years back, but it's just such a limited run that it's so hard to be like, hey, go out and try this. This is amazing. Like, just because you can't really get it. And I was trying to get one for you because
Right.
after I talked to you about it, and I couldn't get it at all.
Oh.
So this is a Peg Leg Porker. They recently released an 8-year bourbon. This was an 8-year rye, and it's a one and done for the most part. Like this.
Where are they from again?
They're from Tennessee, so like I don't want to butcher the story, but essentially, guy who owns it, he's a competitive championship winner, pit boss in Tennessee, known for his pulled pork or his pork in general. That's what he's won most of his trophies in. He got cancer, so they had to remove his leg, and he got a peg leg. So he is the Peg Leg Porker, and the whole reason he made this stuff is he wanted to make whiskey that paired really well with his barbecue. So he originally just started selling it like out of his restaurant and locally and stuff like that, and then just kind of snowballed. And then I showed you the base, which
Right.
I think their base is the best everyday sipper, like bar none. Like it's so
$40.
$46.99, and it stomps on most of the stuff in that $40 to $50 price bracket. It's just this elegant, lightly maraschino cherry tone, slight oak tone. It's just so well balanced, and it goes well with everything. So yeah, that Peg Leg Porker is super cool. That's one of my favorite ones. And like obviously I open everything, but that's one that I do savor a little bit because once it's gone, it's really gone. I would say out of everything here though, I do have one bottle that I hold closest to my heart.
That is one of our big questions. We wanted
So-
to ask, like, what's your most prized
Yeah, so there's roughly 343, 44, 45 bottles here. Because like if you count the bunker down here and the chicken cages, you got under here, all this stuff, however you want to count all that stuff. But it's one that you probably don't think it is. So obviously you'd see like,
It's the Whisky Boys one.
yeah, no, it's a Whisky Boys Heaven Store. No, that actually is. That's cool because like you guys gave me that, and like seriously, I really appreciate you giving me that. That was awesome. It's super cool. And for trying your own pick too. That's actually incredible.
Honestly, super proud.
If you guys are in Texas, go grab that thing. It's killer. No, it's the Sinatra.
Really?
That's the one that's closest to my heart.
Tell us more.
So, I will say one thing to start with. The most viewed Instagram post / like post we've ever had was on that.
Wow.
And I played the That's Live, that song in the background. And so my grandfather passed away in 2022, and he was a massive Frank Sinatra fan. And my mom and my stepdad's first dance was to Summer Wind by Frank Sinatra. So at the day of my grandfather's memorial, I bought this the day before because I wanted to open it and share it with all my family. And we were listening to Frank Sinatra and stuff like that. So it may not be like the rarest thing in the world,
Sure.
or it may not be the best thing in the world, but to me, that is my most special thing, period.
Oh, it's crazy.
And it's not just because like I can never buy another one that would be the same. Like, cause I bought that right after he died, And like, yeah, that'll like I'll never buy another Sinatra after this. That's it. One
I'm
and done.
definitely not trying to make this about me, but
Well, I was just about to say, what's your connection to Sinatra? Because you hold that bottle pretty high, you know.
It's really good. I'm not saying it's not good. It's fantastic.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I have pretty much the same story, a little different. But one, big Frank Sinatra fan.
Yeah, look at that. There you go.
I did it my way.
Yep.
Which I got. This is like a simple tattoo. I wanted it to be simple for this one.
Yeah.
I did it my way because I was able to quit my job and do social media full time. That was like really important to me. But Frank Sinatra represents a couple things. One, me and Jeremiah are also big Frank Sinatra fans.
How can you not be if you're from Jersey?
Seriously. And we have memories of going to Carnegie Hall, which was like this really cool bar or Carnegie Club in New York City,
Yep.
where you can have cigars, wear suits, and they had a Frank Sinatra cover band and a
Yeah.
guy that like sings just like him. So that was like a special memory for me. That kind of like was a big influence in the Whisky Boys starting. Anyway, my grandfather passed away, and every time he would pick me up and drop me off at school and take me places, Frank Sinatra was in the car.
Yep, same.
It was his favorite. So yeah, I actually ended up buying that for his funeral. I brought it, me and my Uncle Tom, like we shared it
Do you
together.
have the same
like,
story?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, like I said, sometimes it's not about how rare a bottle is, how hard it is to get, how good a bottle is. For me, it's time and place and what's happening around me that makes something truly special. Like, yeah, like, you know, the Whistle Pig 18 year, again, my groomsmen bought me this for my wedding. They all got together and
that's
bought
cool.
me that bottle.
That's awesome.
So that would be maybe number 2.
What is the best tasting whiskey that you think you have in your collection? And I know we're talking about like most prized, but just one if you're
You
like.
want to talk about loaded questions? You just gave me the most loaded one for the end of this damn
I know.
video. I would probably have to answer that in 3 different parts.
Okay, that's fine.
Because
That's
whiskey
totally
is
fine.
such a broad spectrum. Because there's different times I like different whiskeys. So like obviously we're in January in New Jersey, as most people and obviously know it's cold as shit here right now.
Yeah.
So I would like something heartier, for sure. So in the winter, my go-to bourbon, would love to say this, but I just got this and I can't say that, is these guys.
Where's yours?
4 Roses store picks, single barrels.
Okay.
These are the best winter bourbons ever. Nutmeg, cinnamon, Dr. Pepper, really well rounded.
Which bad?
So this one is the.
Oh, is that the right?
So this is Warehouse HE. I'm gonna try to
On the
find.
side.
Oh, here. Sorry, dude. So OESO. So that
Do
one's.
you like one in particular?
So the OESO is like my favorite that I've had, and then this one back here is
Okay,
the.
which one?
Actually, this is OESO 2 as well.
Okay.
So yeah, those are usually I go with the OESO just because it's the most balanced.
Gotcha.
So, and then I would say just like general favorite bourbon that I always go to, like say like I have people over and I want to, you know, they don't have like a lot of experience with bourbon, Penelope Toasted.
Oh.
So Penelope Toasted, just the normal one you can get every day on the shelf, I think is probably top 5 bourbons in the world.
You got an old label in there.
Yep. Oh yeah, here. So this
The rosé, the old rosé.
Yeah, so that's the original label, and then this is a batch 1 rosé with the glass cork.
Yeah.
So
They
that,
don't do the cork anymore?
nope.
No way.
Nope, I don't do glass cork anymore. So that's a batch 1 rosé. And then you got the first 4 architect editions here. Mike has the marshmallow toast at his house.
I'm buying another one from Jeremiah. 'cause he
And
had the
then-
backup one, and I loved it so much.
Yeah, so here's the 9-year
It was just very mellow.
light whiskey. You have
Is it
the
the 13 or
13 and you have 14 behind it.
Dude, I think they just announced the 16.
17. 17.
Oh my God.
How
So,
about
yeah.
Havana? You gonna get Havana?
Yeah, we'll buy that for the channel just because like Mike and I are like huge fans of Penelope, and we usually
My selection of Penelope's
Growing?
is heavy.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, for sure.
That's probably
So-
like my largest brand.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess like I beat around the bush a lot with that question, but I would just if you were gonna like one bourbon, if like I was on an island for the rest of my life and I couldn't drink another bourbon,
That's the hardest question, but let's hear it.
it would be Penelope Toasted.
Whoa.
It would
That's a
because
big-
like
All right, I gotta try to pour that after this.
yeah, because it's just maple syrup pancakes and brown sugar and it's decadent, but it's also light, so you can drink it year round.
Nice.
So but like I said, it's a hard question because like it's all weather dependent and it's all time of year, what your setting is. Like
Now,
it's really hard to say like what's your favorite bourbon ever. But yeah, like if I had to pick one that I go back to the most and I've rebought, it's Penelope Toasted.
let's see if this is just as hard of a question. What's your biggest regret buy?
Traveler. That's
Oh,
like
really?
not even. It's not even close. It's not even
For
close
the price?
For everything.
Yeah, really.
Wow.
Where is it? I don't
It's
see
gone.
that. It's not proudly.
Remember how I told you I got rid of 100 bottles?
It's not
It was-
proudly displayed. You gave it away.
Did you
Yeah.
dump it?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's gone. Yeah.
No, he dumped Traveler's Lounge.
Yep.
Hey, Chris Stapleton. You
No, and the whole thing is that we did a whole review on that and got barbecued. Like, just because I'll say this, I'm not gonna shit on Traveler. Everything is perspective. Everybody has
Of
their own
course.
stuff. For me, I thought it was very watered down,
Yeah.
a very messy bourbon with no direction, and it was way too light. And for someone who literally their number one song they've ever made was called Tennessee Whiskey.
Right.
Why didn't you make it a Tennessee whiskey? Like,
Yeah.
like you own property in Tennessee. Like it. Yeah, you go online. It's a blend of 7 different whiskeys. They will not tell you the blend. They won't tell you where it's from.
Yep.
I thought it was Canadian because it's super shiny, like that, like Sprite
I can see
citrusy
that.
twang to it. It's not.
Yeah.
I thought it was Caribou Crossing in it, like redacted Caribou Crossing. It's not. But no, it was just out of everything that we've tried in the last 5 years, the biggest letdown because there was so much hype.
Chris Stapleton, you can't make a song about Tennessee whiskey and you don't make Tennessee whiskey. Celebrity whiskeys, don't drink them.
Stories like Brothers Bond, where they're amazing. That's an
Cash
amazing
Strength,
whiskey, and the cash strength's fantastic, and that's celebrity owned. Or Four Walls, which is an amazing celebrity whiskey, which we have somewhere in this mess.
How about Sir Davis?
I don't even know what that. Oh, I don't know.
Beyonce.
Oh, pass.
Let me try that
Or
one.
there was Prince of Mercer,
yeah. ASAP.
ASAP Rocky.
Oh, no way.
Well, thanks again. This is our first episode of Show Us Your Whiskey. Tune in for more, subscribe, and watch some more of our stuff that's going to be coming out. We're going to be looking at everybody else's tours and collections and what they have and hear some awesome stories. Tell us a little bit about where we can find Everyday Whiskey.
Yeah. So it's super simple. Instagram is Everyday Whiskey NJ, all one word, all lowercase. Go to TikTok, everyday_whiskey. Appreciate you guys coming out and checking out the whiskey collection. And like my buddy Mike, my counterpart, he has another 150, 200 at his place too. So out of the whole
I know.
yeah,
we might have to
out
go
of,
over
out of
there.
the whole catalog, we have almost 600 bottles between the two of us. So labor of love. It's super fun, and all I will say is it's a slippery slope between 100 and 300.
Well, cheers, guys. I
Cheers.
need another pour.
Yeah.